Lena Gagliano.
Sue Peterson.
Second.
Okay, can I get someone to approve the minutes? I read them, I'll approve them. Does someone want to second it?
I'll second, I read it.
Thank you, okay, great. Okay, now we're going to vote on the new grant for September
No,
22.
isn't it the budget? The budget went up, go up?
Oh, excuse me, I missed that, yeah, budget. Now, is that with Steve Kendall?
No, it's just our monthly budget report.
All right.
I was just gonna mention, last month we had a discrepancy,
Oh,
and
that's
so I did call them, and it turned out they added something in by accident, and that's why it looked like last month you weren't here, but we
Right.
had an
Right, I
extra,
read that.
I guess it was $139.
They should do that,
Yeah.
because that really makes it think, what?
So now we're back to our normal amount, and which
All right.
is, we have 4,742.88 in there. So,
Okay.
so that's the budget.
I talked to, is it Kendall or Kimball?
Kimball.
Steve, I called him yesterday. I wanted to know about that group over there, what their budget was. They get 7,500. And I asked him how long they've been in business and how successful they are. And they said they're not too successful, and they have environmental groups in there, they have everybody in there. And they're all for managing the forest. It's the Forest Service that is holding it down. And they're very discouraged about that, you know, but they keep trying, you know, to get the forest, you know, taken care of and all that. So I had a good visit with him though, but I was curious what their budget was. And
Who's this?
what is the name of that? The Beaverhead Deer Lodge
Oh.
group, or their working group that I went to see, so.
Did you go to their meeting they just had? or they-
I didn't, no, I couldn't go, it's on Wednesday. And
So they're held up because of what the Forest Service?
they said it's the Forest Service, it's just, you know, it's hard to work with government, you know, the people on the local level probably want to get things done, but and I think our president should look into that to see, because he wants to get these forests managed, you know, and cleaned up. And somebody is there that's just not allowing it.
In my opinion, it's designed like that.
I'm sure it
You know,
is.
it just.
Yeah, that's why I say we need to get rid of a few people that are designing it, so.
Do they work at all towards the logging law?
That's what they all want to, they all realize it, yeah, even everybody, the recreationists, everybody, they see it's in terrible, terrible shape. And they are worried about a big fire, so.
So that 474288 is not spent, that's it.
That's what we got.
And I asked Steve,
But it's not going to carry over, is it?
No.
no,
So it's not.
I asked Steve if we could use that for to hire someone to do this, and he said, yes, we could.
Okay, he told me that maybe we could do part of it. He said not the whole thing, but if he told you, yes.
He didn't tell me that, but
He
maybe,
told me.
maybe he was
don't
just,
remember how the
yeah,
stuff
okay,
says.
we'll have to recheck it again.
So we'll have
good.
to
Yeah.
recheck it. Yeah,
I-
because he told me that we could maybe use part of it towards it because he wanted us to use it more towards other things.
They give you an idea what the other things are?
Yeah, speakers, food for speakers, yeah, we can buy food, things like that.
I told him,
Mileage, you know, one of us goes to his meeting, we can get the mileage. Speakers maybe could get their mileage, renting somewhere for the
So
speakers.
we have to get his approval on which speakers we want.
Everything, yes.
he'd probably be pretty obliging to that, you know, I
Oh,
would
yeah.
think so. I explained to him, now Sue, you missed this, in the meeting where, in our Granite County Natural Resource Policy, it explained that we cannot use coordination unless we have a legal document that declares our custom and culture. That's why in our,
In the minutes.
huh?
I read about that.
Yeah, and I didn't know it, but it has to, you have to have a natural resource. That's why all these natural resource policies are declaring their customs and culture.
Okay.
So then when you go do this, and I explained that to Steve, and he really didn't understand it. I said, it's really important that every county declare what their customs and cultures are.
Okay.
And I said, we're working hard on ours, that's what we're doing right now. And he kind of liked that idea, so. I didn't know that, I thought we could just go out there and, this is our custom today, you know?
Right,
You
that's
can't-
really interesting.
Yeah, and I found that in the Granite County one. You know,
Okay.
they pulled it, I found a whole bunch of it about that. It has to be a legal document
Okay,
in a natural resource policy,
okay,
so,
thank you.
yeah.
And then when the Indians get involved, that's gonna be interesting.
Oh, it's gonna be, yeah. Who knows how that's gonna end up?
They have customs and cultures too.
Yes, they do.
That's why they call it Flint Creek.
Mhm.
I have to be honest, I have sympathy for the Indians. I read the treaty and how it was done. It was terrible. They didn't understand a word, and they gave up everything. 23 million acres for 120,000, and
Oh, yeah.
1.3 million deal. And
Yeah, I have sympathy for them also.
I do too. And they were, you know what? They were really nice people. They learned to be Christians through the Iroquois.
Oh.
And they begged someone, they called them black robes, to come
Right.
and to Christianize them. 4 times they went back, sent someone back to St. Louis to bring out a black robe so they could be ministered to. They all died. Finally, they got back there, and Dr. Schmidt,
Father Schmidt.
yes, he came, and they loved him, and he did a really good
Right.
job. And you know that missionary,
The Stevensville and Bitterroot.
not that, but you go over towards Spokane.
Oh.
St. Ignatius, they have that beautiful little church, it's a mission church.
Uh-huh.
Those Indians built that.
Oh,
I've been in it, it's really, if you get a chance to go see it, it's
Oh,
really
really?
neat.
I
Yeah.
went there too when I first came here,
They're
and
doing
they always parked to go in,
Uh-huh.
Oh,
and
you were
this
telling me about that.
Great.
rackety old thing
They were
stopped
with
with 2 Indians and
Yeah.
came out and said, "We got some meat, would you like to buy it?"
Probably they
And we
did.
said, "No."
What's the name of the?
And he says, "Nice van." It may be
I-
gone when you come
That's
out.
interesting.
So we took off.
Well, should
We
we
had
be,
relatives living up in Flathead. They got a different opinion of the Indians.
Well, I taught up there for 5 years and I like the Indians.
Mm.
are we ready to
I
vote
wonder
on
why
the
there's so much
grant? You want
money
to,
up there, the money.
why don't you tell a little bit about it? And then we'll vote on this.
Well, Chuck said that the commissioners need to know if we want to put in for the grant again for next year. So we have to make a vote on that. I feel, this is my own personal feelings, that there's a lot hooked to that grant, that we can't really be free to do the things that we want to do. And I think Chuck said that we should be able to get some money, some Granite County money if we don't have the grant. But we still have to put in for that. But, so we need to vote whether we want that grant, but if we do want it, I'm gonna go on record to say someone else can deal with it all, because I've got enough with taking care of the stuff I'm taking care of. You know, that I have to, there's a lot, I had to do a report for the grant. I had to come up with, what do you call it, that?
Well, she's getting
Sharon-
treated like she's getting paid.
No, well, you had a match from the county, I had to come up with all
That's a
that.
lot.
And I thought, you know, if we do this grant, then maybe someone else can take over that part of it, dealing with Steve Kimball and getting the permissions and sending this in and sending that in, making copies of this, making copies of that.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
If we do vote and we get the grant money, can't we decide later if those are the things we want to do? And if we don't agree with them, we don't have to do it, you know? It'd be good to have the money there just in case, wouldn't it? Or do we have to sign on the dotted line to get this money? We have to do all this stuff?
Yeah, you gotta sign on the dotted line, because you're gonna do certain things with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
I think we weren't really aware of what ties there were with that
Yeah,
grant.
it's way more ties.
And when we got it, we thought, ooh, we got $5,000, we'll just do whatever we want, but it isn't. If it's, like I mentioned something about the water compact, and he said that would not have anything to do with that grant,
Mhm.
when I had talked to him, and if we were to.
Bring
do
in
something-
speakers or something. for
Yeah,
that.
bring in speakers,
Yeah.
we wouldn't, that wouldn't qualify under that
Really?
grant.
But how about air quality, speakers for
I don't
air
know. I
quality?
didn't ask those
Probably, and
questions.
forestry and fighting fire,
Climate change.
climate change, anything.
Yeah, it just depends, if Steve says it's, you know, I got a copy of what the grant is, what the proposal was. I don't know if you want me to read it or not, or.
Do you have copies of it?
I didn't, I only got one copy right now, I think.
It's supposed to be
Is it
shown to
online?
everything.
Let's see, it's called G for Grant, I think.
So we got 5,000 and we spent about,
300
Two. yeah. So we're even having trouble spending it.
See, I can read, how will the funds be spent? Increase effective collaboration engagement, funds will be used to support Granite County Commissioners and the Granite County Forest Management Advisory Committee for facilitation, administrative service, and expert speakers to conduct workshops in order to expand Granite County's diversification and collaborative engagement. The committee has hosted volunteer expert speakers in the past on forest management and the legislative process. These funds will be used to pay travel expenses and stipend to support a wider array of expert speakers in various fields to enhance the county's and the public knowledge of how to reduce wildland fire hazards, enhance economic productivity on federal lands in Granite County, support local government engagement in federal forest management. Funds will be used to assist with travel costs for meetings or workshops to increase knowledge of federal land management policies, procedure, and to hire qualified consultants such as a professional forester to assist the local government in developing professional policies or professional communication materials to enhance use and management of natural resources. So if anyone understands all that.
No, I think we should have a copy.
Yeah, I
I think
think,
it should be
I
up
think I got it
online.
on the computer. I just got it, so
That'd be great.
I can get a copy. No, I'll ask them to make it and put it, I'll ask them.
Right.
Well, you know, I kind of like our group, small like it is. We get a lot accomplished. We're real versified here. And I like getting things done. I like that we're going to work on the natural resource policy. If we had, and I don't want to bring in people, and I think the county commissioners not want to bring in people outside our county, did they? For this group. I remember them talking about it. Huh?
On the
You can bring
board.
in-
No, I meant to be part of the group.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to keep it just Granite County. I remember them saying that.
So, but the commissioners kind of need to know, I mean.
How soon do they have to know this?
So,
Can we think about it?
Not by next month.
Oh, not by next month. We better think about it today.
So if, on Heidi's recommendation, if we took a year off from it, we could always, in another year, apply, couldn't
probably.
I bet we could.
Yeah, we're,
Why don't we push for that then, maybe?
Yeah.
Because we got a lot on the table. If we keep getting
Right.
distracted, it's not going to get done.
we? Right.
Well,
I
do
did.
you want to try and take a minute and think about what this group is likely to deal with in the coming year? Because if you're looking at things like trying to finalize a natural resource policy plan, and you want to utilize someone to help you prepare that, then this grant probably is not going to help you do that. If you want to look at hiring a professional forester to help the county commissioners facilitate coordination between the Forest Service, this grant would help you with that. But is that beyond what this committee wants to?
Well, this is just $5,000. I mean, it's not gonna
Yeah,
help a whole lot.
no, but,
Bring speakers in, travel, and
I mean, yeah, we can do it if you guys want to. But someone else have to manage it.
I think it should be tabled, period, so we get more information on it. And I don't
We
feel
gotta
like
know.
we
We
should
gotta
be
put it-
pressured into accepting it, so.
why don't we wait a year then on this, like Sue said?
Take a break, because we've got till September to,
Yeah.
we could maybe do some.
on that report I did, I had to estimate what we're gonna be spending in the next few months. So I went ahead and put down for 2 speakers, room rental, food, and mileage. And he said, oh, who are you gonna have? And I said, I'm just guessing. I said, we haven't even talked about it. So it's on there if we wanna do something within the next few months for
I'll
speakers.
tell you
or
what, I'm
something.
disappointed. We bring these good speakers in and nobody shows up, you know? And we had a good deal the other day at the courthouse, ranchers, you know, about the water compact. Just 2 ranchers showed up. That was is it. You know, they just will not come out, you know, to
No,
these.
that's because they get a special invite. I mean, look at what it said on the agenda that was online, and even Barbara, she doesn't go online, right? The one
I
that
don't know.
showed up,
I
the
don't
last
know.
time she showed up, she says, I'm not online.
Okay.
And so
I
you
got
put
a hold of,
look at the week before, I think it was the week before, where they had the carcass, that the dump was going to do the carcass anymore. The place was packed by
oh,
ranches.
really?
Oh, yeah.
I guess it depends on what you're interested in.
And it depends
How
on
it's gonna
how
affect
it's
you.
put. If it said something about your water is gonna be taken
away,
over,
yeah.
I think the ranches would have been there.
Huh.
Well, we try to get the word out. You know, tell
But it
people.
was so vague, Chuck, on that thing.
Yeah, it probably was. You know, maybe more would
It
have come
was.
out. Maybe we should have another one.
Well, I think nobody really understands everything, that's the
No, it's a-
problem. You
it's a
can't
hard
give
one.
complete facts.
Well,
Well, there's gonna be next week. It's on the agenda to.
Talk about the
Do the
resolution?
resolution,
Yeah, I'm
support-
coming to say not to do it.
support Danny's water.
Yeah, I know. And then the airport too.
So everybody can go to that, spread the word.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
okay. Well, should we make a vote on this to table it for 1 year? Do you guys want to do that?
I can make a motion if you want.
Okay.
I move that we table the grant application for a year.
Someone want to second it?
Second.
Okay. Any opposed to that, just in case I didn't vote on it? All right.
Yeah,
You're worrying me.
I guess,
All right. Those in favor of tabling this resolution for a year, say aye. Aye. Those that oppose? The ayes have it. It's-
do we have enough? We have enough here.
Yeah, right.
The motion passes, so.
Luckily.
But Chuck, I guess you'll let us know when we have to put in for money from the county? Okay, so we can at least put in for.
Before July.
Before July? Okay, we can put in for a couple thousand maybe. Well, we can discuss that.
Right,
Yeah.
that'd be a good idea. And this goes till September 1 though, right, Heidi?
It's September
An
30th.
hour late,
September
$1
30th,
short.
so we have a lot of time.
Yeah.
This is a quick.
Are we done with that business then? Anything else, Heidi?
Not that I'm aware of. I will go and get copies of this
All right.
afterwards. Unless I can email, would it be better if I emailed it to
Yeah,
you?
put it online.
Yeah, well, I'll just
That'd be
email
fine.
it. I'll email. That would be easier than.
Okay, what we're going to do today, you know, we've got two different natural resource policies. We're going to first take the Ravalli County. We're going to go through it. I went through the whole thing yesterday and marked, you know, things that I liked. And it doesn't take that long, really. But let's start on page, like the introduction, we don't have to go through that because ours would be almost like it, but it'd be about Granite County. We don't have to go through the Ravalli County. Which page did I start on?
One little thing that I noticed, I'll just throw it out there, was they have bits and pieces in here in the Valley about fires. But my own opinion, you know, you guys may think differently, I thought it'd be nice if in ours, we had a section for fire management. Instead of theirs has bits and pieces, I didn't see anything in
They do,
there.
in the back.
Oh, do they?
Oh,
Maybe I
yeah.
missed
If
it.
you go back to appendix,
Okay, then maybe I didn't get that.
they just kind
The
of.
fire-related impacts?
Let me see, it's way in the back. There's appendix on water.
Okay, well, just as long as we have one that we have.
Does Granite County, do you know, Sue, if we have any wetlands that our government handles at all?
Oh, yeah, there's all kinds of wetlands.
Okay, so that would be included. I didn't know if we had any or not.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
this is
inventories.
fisheries.
Yeah, see in the back, it goes deep, like your roads, your water, fire management and all that.
Okay, well, then I
But,
guess I.
okay, go to page 6 of 31. This is gonna be about, see, they wrote a big deal about custom and culture, that's where it would start.
I did notice that Granite County has quite a bit in there about custom and culture.
Yeah, and in the very beginning, it says, our declaration of custom and culture. It's a big deal. The best way is just to start reading, and then you guys follow along, okay? And then we'll
Okay,
pick up stuff.
because I, actually, I thought I had one of those, but I don't, I just haven't done it.
Oh, okay. Well, you could listen.
I will listen, yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of reading, but I see no other way. You know, we gotta go through it, page
Right.
by page. We'll do this one first, and then, we can look at ours and add to it, or whatever. Custom and culture. I might have to have someone start reading too. I'm having trouble with my eyes. I'm going blind. I have cataracts really bad. So I've been putting that off.
Well, who's a good reader?
I can read for a while, but when my eyes get tired. The history of our Valley County, I'll put Granite County, is steeped in stories of the ruggedness of the early settlers and the use of natural resources in the county to sustain their lives and livelihoods. There are reports of miners and prospectors, hunters, trappers, traders, posts, loggers, sawmills, home and business, construction, coal mining, and what, do we have coal mining?
We don't.
Okay, we can cross that one out. Someone can do that. I'll do that. I should cross that out. We should do it as we go, so we don't have the background.
We don't have oil well drilling. do we?
Coal mining. Do you know what, Sue, if there's any oil drilling?
No, it was tried like in the 70s, but they didn't hit anything.
Okay, we'll cross that one out. Drilling, livestock, and crops. Establishment of the
What
state of the
is
United...
Antonelli?
He couldn't come. He
I know that, but what kind of mining are they involved with?
They have gold and stuff like that.
Silver.
So we do
Silver.
have mining,
Yeah, we have.
Oh, yeah, mining. It
This
is,
is coal mining.
yeah, this is just coal and oil.
but we do have mining.
Yeah. Establishment of the state of the United States Forest Service brought roads, trails, telephone lines, ranger stations, work camps, and fire lookouts. The custom and culture of Granite County has always been driven by available technology and the presence of valuable natural resources, timber being dominant. Other factors have included the distance to markets, prices, and forest management places.
No, forces of marketplace.
Forces of marketplace, yeah. So far, that looks good. That looks like us. Timber harvest and milling, mining, farming, ranching, and recreation provided the heritage of the county's residents, and such activities continue today. This is land in which nature plays the upper hand. Early settlers of this land worked hard to establish their livelihood, and to maintain that livelihood, today's residents must work equally hard. In recent times, the use of natural resources of the Bitterroot National Forest within, that would be what, Deer Lodge National?
Beaverhead Deer Lodge.
Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest. Within the county has become less available.
Well, and we also have Lolo National Forest.
Yes, we'll put Lolo there too. Lolo? Let's
And we
correct
have-
it as we
and
go.
we do have part of the Bitterroot in the wilderness.
We have the Sapphire Range, what is that?
Wait, do we?
But that would be Lolo, wouldn't it?
I think that might be Lolo.
We have part of the Bitterroot in the wilderness.
And I kind of
but
deal with
is
it, isn't it?
Yeah,
that
way
we're-
down
That's
south.
all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
way
can-
down
we
by
can
Wisdom
I'll
and-
find that in our growth policy. It has exactly what for us. Road access for timber harvest and other resource use management, as well as recreation, hunting, fishing, and trapping has been reduced. There is a reduction in management of timber resources and other management of benefit to all forms of life on the national forest lands within the contiguous to Granite County. This has resulted in fire fuel loadings in the forest in addition to insect and disease epidemics. These conditions have been compounded by years of drought, resulting in catastrophic wildfires and other negative effects to critical major watersheds. Now, I know that 2017 fire hurt our watershed. When we get hammered with a hailstorm, Rock Creek runs black, really black, and 50 years I've never seen it like that. This has greatly affected and altered the county's economic, social, custom, and culture and overall human environment. The the Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest should return to its original direction and mission established by law for managing public lands and forests for the public good, social and economic aspects and of industrial enterprise, and the custom and culture of Granite County has been greatly impacted. Number one goal, encourage the preservation of our cultural heritage. Economics. A primary purpose of this policy is to identify the goals and objectives in managing the natural resources on federal and state managed lands in Granite County. These interests include, but are not limited to, farming, ranching, timber, mining, recreation, wildlife, and all other activities related to and reliant upon the availability of natural resources on federal and state managed lands. As noted in other sections of this document, the economy of Granite County historically has been closely tied to the availability and management of natural resources. The economic challenge for Raleigh County in the first decade of the 21st century is finding the right balance between using and conserving natural resources in a way that supports all of the industry of the valley. You'll find that in this one, it's all about balance, recreating, wildlife, everything about our county that we love so much. You'll find it's very balanced in this. Right now it's talking about trees, but it gets to the other stuff too. The availability and use of these natural resources impacts the ability of natural resource industries to pay wages and property taxes that support households and services throughout the county. At the same time, the conservation of these natural resources, open space, and working landscapes also impacts the economy by attracting tourism, new residents, and entrepreneurs who value access to vast areas of the outdoor pursuit and the quality of life associated with a clean environment and abundant wildlife. According to the U.S. Department of Commerce Bureau Economic Analysis, the lumber and wood products, let's put a deal here, because that wouldn't be for us here.
We'd have to figure.
We would go to the Granite County for that. The next one, this is what I wanted, this one right here. At the same time, this industry reduces its contribution to local economy through wages. It decreases its property tax payments to support county services, and it loses its ability to make profits from the land. When unprofitable private land is acquired by federal and state agencies for conservation purposes, it is permanently removed from the tax base. Now remember, I told you this was put in our one too. It was one of the number one thing that hurts our tax base is when this happens. The next one, Chuck, I wanted to ask you about that. The federal government has several mechanisms to reimburse local government for loss of tax revenue. Payments to support local communities are derived from federal lands through the following mechanism. Now they have here 25% of forest fund or elected current alternatives such as a Secure Rural Schools Community Self-Determination Act.
Built fund.
Okay, payments in lieu of taxes, PILT form. Taylor Grazing Act, Section 315, Refuge Revenue Sharing Act. Now, all these would be good in ours, wouldn't they? Because we also get this, right?
Right.
But it isn't much, is it, probably, huh?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Does it pay pretty good?
Yeah.
Can the county give us ideas how much that was for our natural resource, so we could get it in there correctly?
Oh, they could.
All right. If they know how to find it, huh? Although several studies portray Granite County economy in glowing terms as a huge surge in, well, this probably wouldn't be for us, because when I looked to see how populated Valley County was, how many do we have in Granite County? 1,500 at the most?
Oh, no, there's 2,000 people that are registered voters.
Oh, okay, 2,000. Well, Valley County.
What's that?
3,000.
The registered voters,
Oh.
I think there's like 2,000 voters, yeah. but I think
2,000. Well, Valley County has 40,000, so I thought, although several studies portray Raleigh County economy in glowing terms, and the surge of in-migration has brought in people with money who demand housing and a lot of services, many studies fail to address the negative aspects of this growth. Paramount of this oversight is the relationship and effects of how growth in the service sector along the decline of natural resource industry has caused Montana's per capita income to decline to the 46th in the U.S. Low wages, now remember this was recently done too, so this would be up to speed. Low wages are a significant problem, especially for the large percentage of Montana workers whose jobs not require at least a bachelor's degree. Most economic reports fail to address the reasons for the decline in the natural resource industry. Mills have closed due to lack of log supply, even during times of high markets. And this existing forest industry in Granite County is an extreme risk unless the merchantable timber supply from national forests can be increased. So that's kind of good, because that could portray us. The most significant change in Granite County and the national economy is the decreased portion of income derived from labor. Americans used to move to places to follow jobs. Now people with money and jobs creation capability migrate to places they find desirable to live. A significant percentage of all personal income in the county now comes from non-labor income, such as, now that wouldn't be so much us, what it's here. We are getting a lot of, wealthy people, but there's a lot of working people in our community, and we have government employees here too. Where Valley County, I don't think, do they have government down there? They have a county seat. Well, they have a county seat. Where's their county seat? in Ravelli?
Hamilton, isn't it?
Hamilton, okay.
I wonder if we could change that a significant percentage to something else, you know, maybe.
Yeah, I'll mark that. That's one
Yeah.
we'll have to go over. A significant percentage of all personal income in the county now comes from non-labor income, such as transfer payments from investments. They're talking about a lot of retired people probably moving in and, you know, they're not. This phenomenon is partly a result of an aging society with fewer workers, but also reflects the region's ability to attract new entrepreneurs, the self-employed, and wealthy retirees. As Ravelli County works with other jurisdictions to make decisions about the use of natural resources, the impact of all the above trends must be taken into account to ensure that the livelihood and quality of life for its 40,000 residents is enhanced by a strong and stable economy. Changes in the availability and management of natural resources that swing too far in favor of either extraction or conservation of resources adversely affect the delicate balance of jobs, taxes, quality of life, migration patterns that have stained the county. Now that, I think, is good. It shows you go one way too far the other way, it'll be bad. But yet, you don't want it all just the other way. There's got to be a balance, you know.
I agree with you, Patty.
Yeah. First goal, improve the economic viability of the natural resources based in industry. 2, provide incentive policies to existing and new natural resource related industries. Promote and expand tax incentives and balance tax policies to assist existing and new natural resource related industries. Maintain and enhance the local influence over natural resource policies. Is everybody happy with all that?
Now, would water rights fall in there or not?
You know what? None of this was all written before this water pact is going to hit. Things are going to change a little bit. You know,
Now we should have water.
Oh, there's water in
Yeah,
this.
there is.
There's a whole deal on water in
But I
this.
didn't
We'll get
know
to
if
it.
that would be something for our economy. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe that would go in a different spot.
What I was wondering, you know, once we can coordinate, say Sue down there, the tribes decide to not let Sue have her water because it's a drought year. Now her fields are going to go dry, no hay for the cows. Could we coordinate, because it's a Montana Fish, Wildlife and Park, a state that's controlling the in-stream flow.
I don't know if we're gonna coordinate if this water thing passes.
That's right.
You know what, lot of the things I see in this impact is that all previous laws still stand on a lot of the water stuff. Laws that were put there in effect. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think with the water compact, I've always been for the compact. And I think when Danes, you know, Danes is a real politician and he knows which way the wind's blowing. I mean, it's no accident that he came out for the water compact, 3 or 4 months ago? I mean, he sees it as a winning issue, and now Slaughter, who does whatever Danes tells him to, is behind it. And so I think it's going to go through.
I think it is too.
And he just made a few changes to it, like the money that the tribes are getting, and now he can take credit for it. And he's going to use it on the campaign trail.
You know what's sad, Sue? I really researched that the last 2 weeks. I tried to get a letter to the editor. They wouldn't put it in. One paragraph. They're basing the whole thing. Tribes can go to territory, build a hut, and do their fishing on all the places they've always done. Now, they take that they have rights all over Southwestern with water rights and all that. In 1974, a federal judge, what's his name, Boyd out there? Bolt. He gave the interpretation of that. The Indians, if you knew their culture, it was all salmon fishing. And if you knew Isaac Stevens, I studied him, he's a manifest destiny guy. He wanted the whites off to get the land and the Indians off. And he put it in there so they could still go out to the Snake River and the Columbia River and do their salmon fishing right along with non-Indians. That's what it meant. And they've misinterpreted that one little paragraph so bad. And I'll bet not one person's even read the treaty. It's very explanatory, that treaty. You know, I read it.
I'm sure a lot of the experts have read the treaty, and you know the tribes are giving up a lot on the Upper Basin.
What are they giving up? Nobody has said, they said they're giving up 97%. what are they giving up?
So-
It's not there.
We don't want to go into a water battle with the
No,
tribes
no.
if this doesn't.
Well, if it
House.
goes through, it's bad enough we've got enough federal government, we've got enough state government, and now we're gonna be under tribal government.
We're
And
not-
that's what's gonna happen.
We're not going to be under tribal.
But
You wanna bet?
Chuck, why wouldn't it work that we could coordinate with the state on, if someone needs water rights, that this is gonna hurt our custom and culture?
Well,
Well, I can tell you of a real life deal in Fallon, Nevada. The Indian tribe, it's Paiute Shoshones, have Pyramid Lake, and it's a dying lake. I mean, it is a dying lake because it has no outlet. It's Walker Lake. It's all part of the Great Basin. It's the Great Basin strings these lakes. Anyway, they have a fishery there. It's good fishing there. I mean, it really is. I've fished there many times. And they got rights to the Truckee River. Somehow this all came about. Harry Reid did it. It all came about. Now, if there's water available and you have a farm in Fallon, which grows hearted gold melons for famous all over, at least in that anyway, maybe not here, but hearted gold melons there, and they've all dried up. Other than the oldest water rights dates, you go out in the outlying area, it's just abandoned farms and dry land. So that's a real life, that's really what happened.
And the Indians took that, the Paiute.
The Indians took the water and they're putting it in Pyramid
Did
Lake.
they take it with the state? Are they,
I don't know if they
Orders?
did it with the state or the feds, it's probably, Harry Reid did it, and it was through the Congress, so it was federal.
Isaac Stevens, that wrote this treaty for the Hellgate Treaty, he wrote the exact same treaty for 9 different tribes from here to the Pacific Northwest. The Nez Perce, they tried to get in-stream water rights. The state of Idaho said no. They knew it wasn't Isaac Stevens' intent. They said it's inconceivable to think a manifest destiny guy would have given water rights to tribes when those lands hadn't even been settled yet by the white man. In Wyoming, the tribes also tried to get the water rights in stream. And the Wyoming said, no, the state will take care of the water rights. You have a fishing right, but not a water right. And that's what was given in the treaty. So it is really, it's a taking of people's water rights, actually. But I think it needs to be re-challenged. They should wait on this to really study this,
I say we should put this on the agenda for next month.
to talk
And
about
have a
this.
discussion specifically about that.
You know what? Not till this gets done. We got to get this done.
No, I do this, but I'm saying as far as the Danes Tester, CSKT lawyers water bill, I think we should have full discussion on that because it's going to affect everything.
Oh, this thing will mean
But we
nothing.
can do
probably.
this now, but as
Yeah.
far, we got to get it on full
Also, Sue,
discussion.
I
And this
found,
is another interesting thing that I don't think you got a copy of, but
I
it was
have.
at one of the meetings, and you really should see all the claims that they're gonna make, and they're still gonna make them.
Sue, in Tester's bill, I have it right here. I gave this to Chuck. What if my well fails and I need to drill a new one? My mother-in-law's well failed. Several down in Drummond failed. The Unitary Management Ordinance allows for a substitute well to replace an existing well that is no longer functioning properly. The substitute well must be drilled to the depth similar to the well being replaced. Now that doesn't make sense because if you run out at 50 feet, you're not going to get it. Now, and it has to be the same flow rate. And then you have to build a new well. Now, why do they want you to build a new well? Will meters or gauges be placed on wells? No, the tribes, the state, and the Water Management Board would not have the authority to meter domestic wells or pull head gates. As the DNRC does off the reservation, the Water Management Board and Office of the Engineer would have the authority to require metering. They're doing this out in Washington, and they're not giving people in their country very many water rights. Maybe 350 gallons a day instead of 5,000. I mean, it's really bad. Now, I don't know if Danes took that out. I don't know. But if they do the resolution, I hope you tell them, please check on that. This is the net 97%. They say they'll give up, They won't go after your domestic wells. Well, they are. They're telling you if you can't re-drill. Now, what's the first thing you do when your well runs dry? You bring in casing, you go down deeper. But they don't want you there, and they don't want you having more water rights. But Alita's probably right. We should discuss that. I could bring in I could bring in the treaty. It's just really cool.
It's just if we're gonna discuss it, we should have experts from both sides.
You know, Sue, I think that a kindergarten kid could understand the treaty if you see the paragraph and how it was interpreted by the federal judge. It was a fishing right, salmon. And another thing, you have to understand, Isaac Stevens said, I want them to salmon fish because we don't want to have to feed them. That's why he put that in there, so they can go out to the coast and salmon fish and they do a harvest, a yearly harvest.
But the Salish didn't fish for salmon.
They all did, earlier they did. Now, there's no salmon fishing in Montana. They were put in the Flathead Lake and Fort Peck Lake. They were introduced Chinook and kokanee salmon. But in 1855, no salmon. So they would have gone out to the territory. They would have had the right to do that. To the, what is it, what is that river? Snake River, wherever the salmon come in.
It's a snake.
This
The
is the
Columbia.
21st century.
Yeah.
They don't hunt, collect berries or fish. They go to Walmart or Costco or the convenience store, and that's what they do.
And the last part-
And then Tester's Bill 2013 was turned down, and Danes revised it, adding 65 pages to the compact, and dropped the 2 blah blah billion to 1.9 billion, and then gave them the bison range. And
You know, the last
that
part,
is,
the last part of the paragraph where they base everything, the very last sentence is, they can do this only on unoccupied land. See, these were territories. The settlers hadn't come in yet, and Isaac Stevens did not want it for the Indians. He wanted it for the white man. I'm not saying that was right. I think it was terrible too.
Right, and Isaac Stevens has been dead for a long time, so.
thank you.
But
And
you
it
can
was
read
an
his
open
notes. It's easy to
reservation,
read
which
his
is
notes
different
and
from
what
all
his
the other
intent was.
reservations.
And when they went to a court in Idaho a while back, they did use Isaac Stevens' intent, what he wanted. And they said it wasn't water rights. And so the Nez Perce did not get water rights. They got a fishing right for salmon. And that's what it was for.
Yeah, but it should be all equal. I mean, they should have the same rights as the whites as the Indians.
Well, that's what it was. They could, it says here, and to fish right alongside with non-Indians. That's what it was about. And the white people were making it hard for the Indians to go out there and get their harvest for the year, for their salmon. So that's why this court came in, and 1974, that federal judge said, this is what that means. They have to let these Indians fish their salmon, get their salmon harvest. But it had nothing to do with in-stream flow. But, well, let's continue. We should get off, can't we?
No, I'm the
Okay.
one that brought it up.
That's all right. Well, these are interesting. Constitutional principles and private property. Now, this is good for private property. The United States Constitution created a form of government characterized by limited powers granted to the federal government, separation of those limited powers into legislative, judicial, and executive branches. That's not working too good today, is it? Creation of a process where the branches act to check and balance the power of the branches. The Board of the People of Granite County protect and defend the constitutions of the United States and the state of Montana. The Constitution of the United States, Article 1, Section 8, Clauses 17 and 18 limits the authority of the federal government to own only specified lands. 1. Ensure that all public lands in Ravalli County, Granite County, be managed in coordination with the board and its adopted policies. I don't know what that means, the board.
Yeah, what is that?
Commissioner?
It might be, but remember I asked you, do you guys have all these different things, you know, someone, I don't know which, oh, it was in our natural resource policy. It had but I would say the Granite County Board be managed in coordination. It has to be the commissioners because they're the only one that coordinate.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay, and its adopted policies. 2, goal, protect and preserve private property rights and promote the continuation of private economic pursuits. Law Dictionary, property, every species of valuable right or interest that is subject to ownership has an inchangeable value or adds to one's wealth or estate. Property describes one's exclusive right to possess, use, and dispose of a thing, as well as the object, benefit, and prerogative which constitutes the subject matter of that right. I like that, I understand that. It's pretty important, property. Go. In fact, our founder said, if property can't be secured, freedom can't exist.
So why
George
can't-
Washington said that.
I just don't understand why the water is on our property.
Yes, it is.
You know? We should-
But the water is owned by the state,
Yes, it is.
not by the property owner.
Yeah.
No, but now it's gonna be under the federal government and the tribe,
No,
yes.
state and the tribe.
All three are. If his bill goes through, it'll be, if Danes' bill goes through, that's what Congress is gonna accept. So it will accept whatever happened here in Montana.
But that's a state and the tribe.
And the
in the
federal
bill.
government was involved with it too, we know that.
Oh,
Yeah. Do we know that though?
Oh yeah, the ones that went there in 2015, yeah, we know that.
How does your husband feel about this? Sue?
Oh, we've always been for the compact because we don't want the litigation, and if the tribes
Yeah.
won, it depends on who's on the court. If the
Exactly.
tribes won and we go back to the Treaty of 1850, we're gonna lose everything.
The $55 million that the state has put up for this thing can cover all the lawsuits.
They're not gonna cover ranchers' lawsuits.
Why
Wish
not?
they
That's
would.
that's the state that's putting up the money.
I think the state should challenge it and protect us, myself.
The state, when we get into water disputes, the state doesn't pay our bills, our litigation bills. We have to pay it ourselves.
And you could, that'd be just
But
astronomical.
this
It
is
would.
different, this is different.
Well, let's continue. Goal 3, proposals for government control of property should be evaluated with the goal of no net increase in federally controlled lands. Primary planning guidelines. The board recognizes it is their duty and obligation to enter into official land use planning activities and to participate equitably and fully with the federal and state management agencies in accordance with state and federal laws regarding land use planning and protection and private property interests. The board seeks to maintain, are we talking about what board? Are we talking about the Granite County?
I think it's the commissioners because the first page.
It has to
I'm
be.
pretty sure.
Refers to it.
Okay, the board seeks to maintain and revitalize multiple uses of state and federally managed lands. The board has developed a process to coordinate with the federal and state agencies regarding proposed actions which would alter or impact lands in the Valley County. These include, but is not restricted to, private property rights, private property interests, economic stability, historically developed custom and culture of the county, and provisions of this natural resource use policy. Such agencies are requested prior to taking official action, scoping a project, or issuing a report on the proposed action to coordinate with the board. The agencies may accomplish this in part by providing the board or its agents in a timely manner with the proposed purposes, objectives, estimated economic impacts of such action. The board is committed to a positive planning process with federal and state agencies. The county will consider interests of the people in Granite County regarding use of the state and federal lands within Granite County's jurisdiction. Is everybody happy with that? Any questions about that? Granite County is committed to seeing that all decisions on natural resources affecting the county will be guided by the following principles. 1, support, what's that?
I like those, I put yes on them.
Oh, okay. Okay, you got yeah. I have good on mine. I wrote good. Support multiple use on all public lands in Valley County. Now, I know Margie would like that. Now, is she a recreationist, Margie? Is that why
Oh,
she's?
yeah, right, she's.
Yeah, she
big
would
on
like
the
that.
Bill,
ranchers.
too.
Yeah. Well, I am too. I like to go on the Forest Service land. Protect private property rights and interests. Protect local custom and culture. Protect traditional economic pursuits in county that form the base for economic stability. Open up new economic opportunities through reliance on free markets. Protect and enhance access to the enjoyment of the public lands in the county. Support amendments to current federal policy to provide the option to use mechanized equipment for maintenance of dams and water delivery structures and that predate the Wilderness Act within designated wilderness areas and wilderness study areas. I guess there must be maybe, what does that mean, dams maybe?
There's
or-
a dam in Valley County that provides a lot of irrigation water, and it's been a point of contention about maintenance on it.
Is it in a wilderness?
I believe so, isn't it, Chuck?
I think so, but I was thinking about one in Nevada where it's in the wilderness area and the rancher can take his backhoe up there and fix it and everything.
Uh-huh.
They don't allow that
Under
here,
there.
though.
Well, that, it should be allowed.
Well,
if
I-
they're
Probably not
already-
wilderness,
Isn't that part of the law that?
I
If
think
the
so.
water source is in the wilderness,
but we
if
don't.
it's a
know.
dam.
We
It's a
don't-
dam.
Oh, but it's
yeah,
in
so
the
it was
wilderness.
built before the wilderness and
Right, it was
they
built
have
before
right
that.
rights to go in.
Right.
Yes,
So
and
maybe
and
that
by
doesn't-
law, he can go up and fix it and stuff, because there was a big.
I think it does
Right,
say in
exactly.
emergency, sometimes you can
Yeah.
use
And
mechanical
there's probably
stuff.
something in the wilderness bill that says,
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta.
You don't
do
keep
that.
it there, you just take
Right.
care of business and get out.
But
you
we
know.
don't have any dams.
Yeah, so
We
it's
don't
probably-
have any
Wilderness.
dams in wilderness areas.
No, but maybe it will be a wilderness area someday, we don't know, you know, it
Yeah,
could
we can
be.
keep our- we can
The East
follow.
Fork, you know, up there. So we should keep that in
Yeah, sure,
there.
it's not part of the,
No.
No,
it's not, it's outside of the wilderness.
Yeah. Introduction, water and hydrology. Water resources are fundamental to the economic future and the quality of life in Granite County. Surface water has been and continues to be the primary water source for agriculture, recreation, fisheries. Wouldn't that be pretty good for around here, our surface water, our rivers, because you guys irrigate,
Well,
and our
there's a-
lakes and all that?
Right, there's a connection between groundwater and surface water.
Yes, they are. They interact, for sure. Historically, groundwater has been used for domestic, commercial, and agricultural purposes. For the foreseeable future, increased groundwater sources will be necessary for new municipal, domestic, commercial, agriculture, and industrial water supplies. The quality of this resource needs to be protected while providing for increased use. That is a good one to make sure, but if this new law goes by, you know, you won't be able to dig new wells,
Well,
all that.
we're already a closed basin, so.
Now, what is, oh, that's what I wanted to give you, Chuck, what the closed basins are.
Right.
I'm glad you brought that up,
Yeah.
Sue. Now, what do you say, what's a closed basin, Sue?
Well, the water has already been appropriated, and
Statewide closures control groundwater areas, these are all basins, I will give that to you. 2015.
so I'm not an expert on this, but I think if you wanted to drill a well to run a pivot, I don't think you'd be allowed to in Granite County.
Not even on a ranch.
Yeah, because it's a closed basin.
Well, let's
No,
go for,
What about senior water rights?
Well, I'm talking about groundwater.
Like a well.
And as
Yeah.
far as surface water, there's no way that you,
No, you
to my
can't.
knowledge, you could get a permit for.
let's
surface
leave this
water.
in just in case, it might give us some protection. You know,
But I mean, it's something, it's not legal what they're saying, but I mean.
it's not legal.
I mean, they drill new pivot wells all the time.
They have them at the ranch at Rock Creek, you know, they put big pivot wells out there.
Right, but I don't know.
That's commercial wells, not private wells, just commercial, isn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, Nevada's the same thing. You can go out and buy and drill a private well, but you can't sink a commercial.
Yeah, I agree with Chuck. I don't know that it's legal. I know some people do it, but.
You'd have to get permission from the DNRC right
Right,
now.
right.
And if they give it to you, let's keep that in there, is that
Yeah.
okay with you guys, you know, just to have it, it doesn't hurt to have it. Number 1 goal, watersheds must be managed for water quality and seasonal quantity. 2, identify and secure water sources for future uses within the county. 3, water rights established historically and beneficially used by the citizens of Granite County, including but not limited to the purposes for agriculture, irrigation, and stock water, domestic use, commercial use, and industrial use are recognized as private property. Oh, do you see that? Yeah, let's say that again.
Private property right.
Yeah, water rights established historically and beneficially used by the citizens of Granite County, including but not limited to the purposes of agriculture, irrigation, stock water, domestic use, commercial use, and industrial use are recognized as private property rights and are to be protected as
Yeah, I
such.
had an X by that.
We will put good for that, huh?
And you know, that's just a goal.
Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't stand up in court. but-
No. Well, we can keep it there, it'll look
Right.
good, it's like we're trying. 4, goal, all management plans and land use practices modifications proposed by government agencies premised on water quality and quantity issues shall be coordinated through local government and shall be consistent with the protection and preservation of private property rights. I like that. Support, I have to ask you, Sue, have you ever, you've been ranching a long time, don't you?
Uh-huh.
Have you ever had a drought year? where they even come close to shutting you off?
Oh, yeah, oh, all the time.
Really?
Yeah, water commissioners are hired and they go by your water rights and they start moving up the creek and, yeah, we've.
Has it come close where you never could get your hay up or get it irrigated?
Usually, or, you know, you can irrigate it for first cutting, but
Because you got a lot of water coming from the runoff and it's still pretty good from the mountains.
right,
and-
but sometimes the runoff may come down in May or June and you need the water in August. So,
Yeah.
it's devastating. It can really affect the hay crops and.
Yeah, not so green and not so high, huh?
Are you allowed, I know this is probably off the wall, but to have a tank and collect the runoff and then use it for later or anything like that?
You mean like runoff from, a field? Or,
Well, where do you
Well,
use
they got
it?
the lower Willow Reservoir, that's what that's for.
but do you mean for a house, a tank for a house or for
To
the?
have a big tank and collect
Well-
water and use it later.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it
well,
says spray
no,
off.
it's a good question, but the flood, you know, when people flood irrigated, the person would flood their ground and then wastewater would go to somebody else. And then the water got used over and over and over. Without pivots, why the water, it's just kind of a single use and it just goes down so far. And so it really affects the groundwater and.
Doesn't it come back to us rain though? It evaporates a little bit and then it
A
goes into
little,
the
but I
ground?
think the loss is more than what you gain. I mean, think about a pivot and a big wind, you're just wasting water.
What did
Yeah.
they do in Israel where they recycle water?
Yeah.
Toilet water, probably,
All the
that-
wastewater.
Yeah, but people won't drink it. They
Use
recycle it, but they
for
use
the
it
crops,
for.
they got pipelines.
You have a lot of water like you use for your toilets and all that. It's like for laundry and, you know, you put in your toilets and
Yeah.
Gray water.
gray water. I'm sure
Well, they
gray
do
water.
something to it that it's supposed to be safe to drink.
Oh, wow.
But people won't do it, so
Yeah, I
they use it for irrigation crops and things.
Keeping the lawn green, maybe. Goal, enhance upstream water retention and delivery. Goal 7, the county should receive notification of all state, regional, interstate, and federal actions that have any impact on the water of the county at the initiation of the planning stage. It shall be a policy of the county to coordinate with all agencies. Is everybody happy with those? Agriculture and irrigation. Agriculture in Granite County makes an important contribution. Aren't you guys probably the biggest taxpayers, ranchers, you know?
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah. Loggers pay a lot too, I will say that with all our equipment.
Right,
Montana has a
right.
horrible, horrible equipment tax. Agriculture in Ravalli County makes an important contribution to the economic base of the county and is of critical importance to economic stability. We grow wheat here in Granite County, wouldn't we?
Mm-hmm.
How about barley? Do you guys grow barley?
We don't, I mean, it can be grown.
How about on the way to Missoula? You know, I see, what is that yellow stuff?
Corn.
Not corn, mustard.
Oh, no, that's a weed.
No, they grew it down there, mustard.
Oh, okay.
Montana's one of the biggest mustard growers
Okay.
in the United States. Yeah, they do grow it. Flax, alfalfa, grain, hay, silage, livestock pasture. Would these all be okay for Granite County?
You know, flax historically hasn't been grown here, but it could.
Should we just leave that in there just in case
Sure.
someone wants to grow flax?
Right, we don't want to bar them from growing
Yeah.
flax.
Pam, let's put that there.
Pasture
Yeah,
and
there
forest
you go.
products constitute some of the major crops in Granite County. Specialty crops such as seed potatoes, mint, lawn sod. We don't grow lawn sod here in Granite County, do we? Huh?
No.
Should I cross that out?
Yeah, there's no mint and no, very few seed potatoes. I know
I
of no
have
seed
mint in my
potatoes.
garden.
Well, then we should leave it in.
I get it out of the forest mint. It's wonderful. I make potpourri,
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
or potpourri. Mint canola. That'd be like for oil, maybe?
France,
Yeah,
France, right?
We don't do that, do we?
No.
We'll cross that out. I'm
There's
surprised
your
they have
mustard.
that. There's mustard, raspberries, strawberries, grapes, and vegetable crops are also very important. A lot of people grow them and take them to the, what do you call
Farmers
those?
market, I don't
Yeah.
think that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, I think they're.
Big stuff, huh?
Uh-huh.
So I don't know, do we need to have that in there?
I know they do this in the Bitterroot. They do have strawberries, they have all this, and they
How
sell
much
them.
agriculture on a commercial basis?
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna start that new store down here, they're gonna try to. We just had a meeting on it,
Yeah.
and they're gonna sell produce. they said
They will be grown
locally
locally?
grown produce, that's what.
Yeah, where?
I have a garden, you know.
You know, people do grow nice
But they bring it
gardens
in, they
there.
bring it in from all over the state,
Okay, we don't grow grapes, right?
organically grown stuff.
We
Yeah.
do.
Over
Okay.
in Drummond, they're growing marijuana.
Oh, are they?
Oh, yeah.
Well, don't put that in there.
Well, I mean, commercial hemp is,
No, this is not commercial hunt, this is marijuana.
You know what
It's
happened in
not
the colonial days? They made so much money, the farmers, on tobacco. They all brewed tobacco. They almost starved to death because no one was growing any food. And now farmers are starting to grow a lot of this marijuana stuff, and they're not putting it into food crops to eat. I wonder if the same thing will happen to us. Which one shall I cross out? And I know they grow mustard down, still in Granite County. I've seen their fields.
Do they even grow seed potatoes here?
I mean, I would, that whole sentence isn't really relevant to our county.
Shall I take the whole thing out?
No.
No specialty crops, okay? It just isn't us.
Do we
Let's
do
cross it out.
anything here that's specialty? I'm trying to think.
No,
Hey,
No.
Yeah, hey.
Hay?
that's,
it's gone,
The
okay.
hay's already listed.
Well, I know you guys grow oats and all kinds of stuff, don't you? For
Well,
your,
people don't grow oats so much. I mean, some do, but like to get barley straw, we had to get ours from Townsend.
I seen like McDonald's, they, the green stuff, and doesn't Dave Hopman grow oats sometimes?
He has,
So it is possible.
right.
So we'll leave that in there then.
and they grew corn ones for ethanol, but that fizzled out.
Yeah. Okay, many crops are enhanced by irrigation to increase productivity. Irrigation is derived from rivers, streams, dams, and ditches, and from wells. Dams are critical to holding early season runoff and provide water in late irrigation season. Irrigated crops are integral to production of livestock and feed, food sources for livestock, and to the custom, culture, social, and the economic stability of the county. We'll keep that in there, okay? That looks good. Goal 1, improve the economic climate for farming and ranching by providing a flexible menu of voluntary options for farmers to participate in agriculture. What do you think that means, Sue?
I don't know, I'm thinking about the previous paragraph and thinking about the lawsuit we had with, over Georgetown Lake, and if this is adopted, does that mean the commissioners would let more than 15 CFS out of the dam in August?
What's that?
Would you let more than 15 CFS out of the dam in August?
Oh, yeah, we did.
But I mean, consistently, that would really help the ranchers.
No, we raised it up. Let's see. No. Can't really remember. I think it was over 15.
It's usually up to the county commissioners, though, to make that call, huh?
Yes,
Oh, we do. We do it every week.
Okay.
but good luck with the Georgetown homeowners.
Yeah, they want it for fish. I think it's all about fish,
Well, and it's about boats too.
Yeah, for sure. Number 1, goal, to improve the economic climate for farming and ranching by providing a flexible menu, voluntary options for farmers, I read that, particular agriculture. 2, goal, assure adequate water supply for irrigation and agriculture. Do you like that one, Sue?
Yeah, I don't think it's realistic, but I like it.
We'll go for that then. 3, goal, enhance reserve water supply to increase agricultural use opportunities. I think over there in the Bitterroot, they are big agricultural people, aren't they? Ranching, farming. Maintain and enhance water storage facilities, conveyance structures, and diversion points. It might come to that here. We don't know that, so we keep that in
Water
there.
storage, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, for dry years.
Kind of remind me of Joseph, where he put all the food,
Oh yeah, 7 years of drought, you better store. It worked.
Yeah.
Number 5, support amendments to current federal policy to provide the options to use mechanized equipment for maintenance of dams and water delivery structures that predate the Wilderness Act within the designated wilderness areas. Let's keep that in there just in case, like the East Fork becomes a wilderness. I don't know if it ever would, but. Livestock grazing. I'm glad you're here, Sue. You can help us with all this.
Yeah, I wrote your name by a lot
Oh,
of these
okay.
things.
Yeah, get ready, we're asking you
confused.
questions. Agriculture production in various forms in Granite County is necessary to the livelihood and well-being of its citizens and to the land. The county must strive to protect its ranching and farming cultural heritage and the vital natural resources needed to keep farming and ranching families in business. The Deer Lodge National Forest and the state of Montana have lands contiguous to and intermingled with private lands and various ownership in portions of Granite County. The Deer Lodge National Forest also manages and controls the headwaters and watersheds of major rivers and streams in Granite County. Would that be the same right there? Which are necessary. They're so much like us, except they have the population, for agriculture to exist in the county. Historically, there have been permits issued to ranchers grazing on federal and state lands. Goal 1, retain the use of public lands for livestock grazing. Goal 2, develop and encourage programs to enhance the effectiveness of local government in the public land planning process for grazing. 3, encourage mechanisms to allow subleasing and transfer of grazing rights or allotments on public lands to preserve and enhance the local grazing industry and the tax base of the county. Okay, what's this about, Sue?
What does that mean?
Yeah,
What is tax base of the county? I thought grazing rights were paid to either the BLM or the Forest Service.
Chuck's absolutely right.
So how does that affect the tax
Yeah,
base?
I think that falls in the 25%, but they don't do that anymore. We get to go,
But listen.
well, it's keeping you in business, and you're a taxpayer to this county. Maybe that's what it means. Maybe that's what it means, huh?
But on number 3, and Chuck knows all about this, we had a forest permit and we couldn't sublease it. And I don't think you'd want ranchers to sublease their forest permits, do you? I think it would lead to a whole lot of problems.
I think they could sublease it to people that don't want to use it.
Well,
you know.
yeah, you could do that, or you could sublease it to somebody out of the county or something.
Yeah, That's no benefit to
Because
us.
right now, if you have a forest permit, you have to have a hay base to go with it. So the forest permits are tied to the county, to the hay base.
oh,
And so that's something it would just be a real can of worms.
so what are they saying here? That they think they should do it?
Yeah, it says they should, but
A mechanism to allow subleasing and transfer of grazing rights or allotments on public lands to preserve and enhance the local grazing industry and the tax base.
it's not even practical. If somebody wants to give up their forest permit, then if the Forest Service wants to assign it to someone else that's interested, as long as they have a hay base.
And in the county,
Right,
yeah.
that's generally the way that.
Would you like to take that one out then?
I mean, it's just.
I don't understand it
Yeah, it's just a
exactly.
can of worms.
Okay, let's cross that one out.
Is it okay? I haven't been writing on your paper. Is that okay?
No, that's
Scott?
fine, go ahead.
We'll cross that one out. 4, Ravalli County Commissioners Granite County Commissioners will coordinate with appropriate agencies to formulating or modifying allotment management plans. Do you guys have anything to do with grazing, or is that, like Cameron, he used to be BLM, and of course the Forest Service has allotments.
Yeah, they do the grazing along.
yeah, the Forest Service does that.
But what do you
I haven't
have?
heard about the county
Coordinate.
Yeah, coordinate.
coordinating.
Oh, maybe the county commission will coordinate with appropriate agencies there, like the Forest Service and all that. That's good, we'll keep that one in. Oppose the introduction of grazing of wild bison. Now, who wants bison?
We had one a few years ago.
I remember that he
Yeah.
was everywhere. Christy Spoon, she'd go out and feed the little, he'd come over after he knocked down all her fences and she'd give it some
Yeah,
grape.
they did that up at Georgetown Lake on McLean property
Yeah.
for a while, and they had to put up the special fences.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they're kind of,
Oppose, so we do want to keep that one, because it says oppose.
oh yeah, oppose, we don't want that. And then they came out later and shot that buffalo at
Did
Mungus.
they?
Yeah, I felt kind
Aw.
And Cody Kelly, you know him, he asked me, who's Buffalo? I said, nobody's claiming him. You know, they don't know where he come
Before
from.
anybody saw that, man, I was looking out our window. Wow, that's a well-built cow.
They're
And it kept getting
huge.
closer and closer
Yeah.
and closer. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he knocked down all the
I got
fences.
pictures of
And then he comes up to the fence, and I thought, oh, this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
No, he just leaped right over this.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, yeah.
Chuck and our neighbor went out there and.
Yeah.
I saw
We
my-
felt sad when he got shot, right?
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, he could have been just easy something, I guess.
Well, it's hard to round up one buffalo, don't you think, and get him in a truck and he really was knocking all the fences down. I probably saw me jump, but others he didn't see as well. And Forest management. Active forest management in Granite County lands must be based on sound science, economical decisions, local values, and common sense. I like that. Forest management practices must include planting. Now, I don't want them to ever make it a law where we have to go out and plant. Because we go back in 2 years, what we need is thinning. After we're done logging, that lodgepole pine comes in, it is so thick, it is horrible. So if you planted a bunch of trees, you got way too many trees, you know. You need, I would put in thinning, wouldn't you, instead
Well,
of
some
planting?
places don't come back, you have to plant.
Yeah, I
All
know
right.
Joan goes out, I went
Okay,
on a
use
plant
common
tour.
sense
Yeah,
on that. Did they even put, oh yeah, they did have thinning, good, thinning's so important.
yeah, right next to
You know, thin those little trees, you know, so they can grow big and tall.
Well, I go out and thin them all the time.
Oh, they're just like
There's
weeds.
60 out of their front area.
Oh, it's just awful. I hate it after we get out of an area with lodgepole. You go back and look, and I asked the Forest Service, I asked this top guy in I think the state, I said, what are you gonna do about that? He said, oh, eventually, the big ones will take over and the little ones will die out. I thought, wouldn't it be better to go in and thin them? So, I don't
You
know.
know, 20, 30 years ago, they did.
I know it. Coal Creek is just terrible. We logged that almost 50 years ago. Thinning and harvesting of the forest vegetation. Removal of forest materials using mechanical and other harvesting systems will ensure continued investment, employment, and business opportunities in Granite County. We encourage a harvest level that results in a stable and sustainable volume of merchantable and non-merchantable materials being removed. Now, do you guys know what sustainable means? It means you got more growing than you're ever going to take out, and that's what's important. A volume of merchantable and non-merchantable materials being removed each year. The Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest and State of Montana trust lands have the capability under proactive management to achieve a healthy forest ecosystem while providing clean water, clean air, wildlife habitat, recreational opportunities, and economic benefits and stability. I like that. Do you guys like
You don't
that?
cut more than you grow, basically.
That's right. Yeah, we always want to make sure that we have a forest because it has a purpose out there. Goal 1, actively manage our forest to ensure a healthy and vibrant forest for current and future generations. Right now, we have more trees dying than are ever harvested, and it should never be like that. 2, provide a sustainable and continuous supply of forest materials, recreation, wildlife, fisheries, and water. Ensure a stable output of materials from the forest that utilizes the resources and provides for community stability. 4, public lands timber harvest will be planned in coordination with local governments using the best available science. Now, when we, like we're on a state sale right now, and that's public lands. Does this mean that you'd have to go to the county to see if you could even do a state sale? Instead of this DNRC just putting up this sale?
Read it, yeah.
Public land timber harvest will be planned in coordination with local governments using the best available science. It sounds like it won't be up to the state to just go out and say, we're gonna log this, you know, it's in your county, but we're gonna do it, because they're in charge of it, the state.
Well, maybe that just means the state has to come and tell the county what they're gonna do,
Okay.
you think?
Coordination.
Yeah,
Coordination.
it says
Yeah.
coordinate right there.
Yeah, with local governments, not the state.
Hmm?
It said to coordinate with the local governments,
Yeah, coordinate.
yeah.
Local governments. Does
Instead
the
of the
state
state.
fall in with local governments?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't?
Oh,
Would
it's
be
state.
county.
What?
Local government would be the county.
Yeah,
And the state would have to coordinate.
yeah. Maybe they do already, I don't know.
No.
Huh? No. See, I don't like it.
Oh,
I'll put a question mark by that one, okay, because
When they're talking about public lands timber harvest, aren't they talking about? federal-
State?
Forest Service or
Federal.
state.
state and
Projects
Forest
also,
Service,
yeah.
yeah. I'll put a question
Yeah,
mark.
it says, it sounds like that's what it's saying.
Well,
That the local government will decide if it could be harvested or not, or?
No, it sounds like they will be
Coordinate.
planned once they coordinate with local governments.
Yeah, see, we don't do that right now. We just, the state gives us a sale, we go, we don't coordinate with the local government. We just go up
Well,
there
it
and
wouldn't
log.
be you, it'd be the Forest Service and the state would have to come in to the county commissioner and say, okay, we're gonna.
Do they do that? Did they do that on Rattler Gulch?
Not that I know, of. It could have been before.
Yeah. I'll put a question mark, but until I
But
understand
I
it.
don't, I know the Forest Service doesn't. I mean, I can't say they don't ever,
Yeah,
but basically.
well, here again, like say you have a beautiful old growth forest, and your county, you love it, and you don't wanna, would the county have a right to stop it, because
You
it's our
can't stop
custom.
it, you can discuss what the state or the federal government.
Yeah,
how
that this
we
could hurt our
feel,
custom and
How the
culture.
commissioners or the county feels it's not in our best interest. You
Yeah.
can have a discussion with them.
Uh-huh. Goal 6, discourage the Forest Service.
No, we're on number 5.
Oh, 5, coordinate with the Deer Lodge National Forest and implementation of the National Fire Plan strategy to strive to achieve fire fuel reduction to acceptable standards on all public lands. I like that one. You don't like that one?
National Fire Plan?
Oh, you don't like the National Fire Plan. Should we put a question mark by that one?
What fire plan?
Yeah, what fire plan?
Everything I've read is what I thought.
We're getting to the next one. Goal 6, discourage the Forest Service let burn policy on all public lands during periods of high fire danger. So I like that one.
Didn't we talk about something else that should be added in there? Not just during, it should be only, we were thinking only in wilderness or,
Hard to reach areas that let it burn.
Yeah.
Some areas you can't stop it.
And, non-fire hazard, non-high,
what says,
Periods of high fire danger, periods, lands.
but we were talking about, let's say they wanted, in June, they wanted to let it, let's say there was a fire on Rock Creek.
yeah.
Do we want to let it burn in June or not?
No.
So this is just saying periods of high danger, which high danger would be probably August, September. So I don't know whether we want to,
I think they're talking about controlled
Right.
burns, to thin the forest, not in danger, in times, because in New Mexico, they did a controlled burn to fix the forest a little bit. It burned 245 homes. It was a disaster. Yeah, that's
So
bad.
I think Heidi's right, you gotta,
we might need to reword that somehow.
Well, I'll put a question mark by it, okay? That we're gonna, it's questionable.
because you don't wanna, it could be raining in first week in July.
Yeah.
And then they say, well, we're gonna let it burn because it's low fire danger or whatever.
Yeah,
Knowing full well that in August it's gonna take off and go,
yeah.
I think we would need to think about, I think it should be coordinated with the commissioners on, depending where it's at. I mean, if it's way far away in the wilderness,
Well, the
then,
Mako policy would kind of cover that too, but it should be in here.
Yeah,
Yeah, they gotta coordinate with it, they gotta come in and say, we have to say whether, yeah, no, you're gonna go put the fire out.
and not just discourage, I think there should be a stronger word.
we'll come up with that. We'll put a question mark, but this is our natural resource policies.
I'm not sold on coordination, as you know, but instead of discourage, you could just put coordinate, couldn't you, the Forest Service?
Coordinate with county commissioners or local governments, coordinate with local governments.
You didn't get that on tape, did you?
That's all I'm saying.
That's never gonna happen again, just so you know.
That's basically.
Oh, yeah, we gotta say that.
That's basically what coordination is. We try to discourage them by saying why you stand against what their plan is.
Yeah,
And that's what.
That's what we're shooting
They
for.
don't have to go along with us.
Yeah.
But at
7,
least there has to be a discussion. And the time is 3:20. I don't think we're following the agenda.
let's do 7. When, this might help us. When lead burn policy is implemented, it becomes a prescribed burn, subject to the NEPA and liability standards which apply during controlled burns. I like this one, I'll tell you why. In order to do a NEPA burn, you have to have 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, but it doesn't say that, and they're gonna ignore it.
No, but it says prescribed burns subject to NEPA and liability standards. And most people don't go by that standard. And we would
I think
hold
you
them
kind of
to it.
explain more, because, that,
Yeah.
they go right on by somebody.
I read-
Most people don't even know what NEPA is.
No, I read the NEPA law. In order for to do, and I'm sure they don't do it here, in order for the Forest Service to go out and do a controlled burn under NEPA standard liability laws, you have to have about 3 guys that have done a burn that equal or better, never under. And I bet they don't send out the right guys to do it. I mean, you can't believe all the laws when they're supposed to do a controlled burn, but we could really
And they're
impress them on
quality.
that. Yeah,
I actually filled out a NEPA application and stuff for the snowmobile
Yeah,
club.
I remember
Oh.
that.
Yeah.
You mentioned
So
that.
oh, it's strict.
It's horrible.
And I don't think they send out, I
But
think
air
it's,
quality is a big part of that, too.
yeah, we'll get into air quality here
So
pretty
maybe
soon.
put a question mark.
What time is it? What time do you guys want to head out?
Well, we have followed the agenda.
That's because I don't know how much time to give. It's hard to get it all in.
Yeah.
Well,
We wanna go to 4
Let's go
o'clock.
over to energy and mineral resources, and we'll end it today on this, okay?
new business, public comment, next meeting agenda items and adjourn.
Yeah.
I mean, I can take us out to 4 o'clock very easily, but I just don't know what everybody wants.
Let's go, let's just finish today, right over here, energy and mineral resources. We'll finish this. Goal 8, the county expects the federal government to follow and obey the same federally established air quality laws for air over and for the air over and that which exists, the federally managed forest lands to include those lands which have been designated wilderness. So, do you guys like that?
I didn't understand what that.
Yeah, I don't know what that
It didn't make
either.
any sense.
I told you guys, I'll read it again. Maybe it's the way I read it.
No, it's the way
The
they.
county expects the federal government to follow and obey the same federally established air quality laws for the air over and that which exists, which exits the federally managed forest lands to include those lands which have been designated wilderness. I don't know. Does that mean if you let the wilderness burn up and the air
I think
quality
you're
is bad?
saying if you're gonna let it burn in the wilderness,
The air's,
you damn well better know where the smoke is going, and it's not gonna affect, because like I was saying,
Okay, let's put a
underneath
question.
that air quality is a big thing.
Yeah.
And they can't pollute that air in the,
All right.
if they butte or whatever.
that's a good one then. Shall we keep
Yeah.
it? Okay, we will keep it good. Okay, we like clean air. 9, goal. The air quality in Granite County shall be a priority in both forest management plans and wildfire management.
I was
That's
thinking on
good.
this one, maybe we could add in, something that
Which one are you on?
the one you just read, number 9,
Oh, okay.
that as it goes with the Montana Constitution or something, maybe, I don't know.
I'll put that Montana
Yeah, according to the
Constitution.
Montana Constitution. Clean
Yeah,
environment.
yeah, or something like that. I don't know.
Okay,
I
well,
don't know.
this is gonna be ours. We can add to it. And you know what? We might pick some of it up in our Granite County one. You
Yeah.
might have worded it
Yeah.
better where we'll stick it in here. 10, manage the forest to minimize the number of acres burned each year.
Yeah, it means better management of the forest, so there isn't so much burning, yeah.
I like that. 11, that would cut down on your air quality too, or the, 11, permanent vehicular access to major non-wilderness forested watersheds is necessary. What does that mean? Vehicles?
Right.
Is that what it's saying?
Access.
Permanent vehicle access to major non-wilderness forested watersheds is necessary to promote public health, safety, and general welfare through economically and ecologically sustainable management of forest health and fire hazard buildup. No existing public transportation system roads should be decommissioned unless there is demonstrated public support that the road is not needed for public recreation or for economically efficient management of the fire protection. I like that because
Yeah.
I know Bill would, because he's ticked that a
Yeah.
lot of roads get closed off. I go to the Forest Service. I love the logging roads. I ride my horses on them, my four-wheel on them, and you know what? I see the elk like them too. They do, they use them all the time.
Everything like
And I see the value of wilderness, so I have to add that.
Yeah, you see what?
The value of wilderness.
Yes, where you don't have that. You mean the roads and
Right, exactly.
12, goal, Granite County will facilitate, coordinate for designation, management of wilderness areas in Granite County. Do you like that one? Granite County will facilitate coordination for designation and management of wilderness areas. Like if there's gonna be a new wilderness area coming on, Granite County will coordinate, right?
that. We better hire.
To see if we want it or if we don't.
We better hire a forester.
Yeah.
There's a lot of coordination here.
We'll send Sue up.
Yeah, there you go.
She'll make it short and sweet.
We'll take care of that.
Okay, permit and promote timber harvest in inventoried roadless areas. IRAs, it's gonna mention that, are inventoried roadless areas. No portion of inventoried roadless area outside wilderness study areas and recommended wilderness areas should be identified as unsuitable for timber harvest. In other words, if it isn't a wilderness, you can log it. I'm for that.
What, for my benefit, what's the difference between a,
An IRA
Yeah,
and a
and
wilderness
wilderness.
study area? I can't figure, inventoried roadless area,
Yeah, they have them forever. And,
wilderness study area.
yeah, back in the 70s, some law.
Well, wasn't
made it
this whole
possible
group
to make
started
roadless
because,
areas in their inventory roadless areas.
wasn't this whole group started because of the Danes' bill or resolution to get rid of the wilderness study area?
Oh,
That's
no, you've
gone
had
5
inventory
years
road-
over?
No, you've had these forever.
No, this particular wilderness study area, it's done. And it should be either open or closed. Wasn't this the
Well,
whole
that's a
group on
different
that?
what they're talking about here.
Well, I think we should put that in there, because this is
The number she
2012.
says it was in 1985 that Congress.
Yeah, we'll leave it there, okay?
She was saying that we should maybe include something about our wilderness.
Because it's
study area.
over. It was, the study area was only gonna be for 5 years.
It will get to that in here. It
Oh,
will be-
lovely.
Yeah, we just haven't got to it yet. Helicopter logging and construction of temporary roads and IRAs for timber extraction will be permitted. We've done that before, helicopter logging. Encourage outside WSAs. And
Well,
that.
recommend wilderness area.
Yeah, and these aren't wilderness areas, these
Yeah.
are just outside. Ravalli County endorses sunset provisions in the recommendations submitted to Congress in 1985 for the management of WSAs. Granite County endorses sunset. I looked up sunset the other day, what it meant, I
Do it
can't.
evening?
So I think what they're referring to was they had a lot of,
What?
they had a big
Thing expired.
consensus wilderness bill, that's the one that Reagan pocket vetoed. And so that would have been in the early 80s. Maybe that's.
Okay,
what
Ravalli
they're
endorses
referring to.
sunset provisions and recommendations submitted to Congress for management of wilderness study areas. Should we keep that in then?
I think that's what they're talking about when we started this thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is.
That Danes
The wilderness
wanted
study
it.
area.
Yeah, the
And it
wilderness
was supposed
study
to
area.
sunset, it was supposed to expire at a certain
Yeah,
time.
it did expire, didn't
It
it?
did.
Yeah.
It did, but they didn't do anything.
Yeah,
So,
and they still haven't done.
Well, let's
something.
leave that in there.
Promote it to demand that it's done.
the sun never sets, or
Yeah, in China that happens.
It'll come up
Yes.
tomorrow and second. D, salvage logging will be permitted with IRAs. Now, what do you think salvage logging, like, wind shear went through and it's all blown down, it's rotted, it's
Or
dead,
vehicle
it's
or
salvage.
something like that.
Yeah.
The roadside
All right.
salvage sale.
I like that, does everybody like that? Okay, should we quit there for today and then go on to
Yeah.
businesses? I'm tired of reading
Um,
everything. We'll take
Thank
over.
you, Scott, I'll get a copy.
Next time, we'll start at energy and mineral resources. You'd be surprised, it goes pretty quick, it's
Yeah,
it's not that
One
much
thing
longer.
I did want to mention is I think I have this on the computer. I think Blaine sent it to me. So
Would
I
you,
could send it
yeah,
to
if you'd
you.
email that to
And then
me,
I gotta
I'd
send
appreciate
every-
that.
But I was thinking, maybe one of us, or two, whatever, could maybe, I don't know if we can edit it or not, I'm not sure, but we could type in some of our,
Yeah, I see.
We can do anything we want, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So we
what
can
I
do that
said,
later.
to make it easy, because it's like a Word document, you
Yeah.
can put it on to.
I'll look at it,
Yeah.
I'll try to look.
But
and
thank
see.
you.
I think I have it.
Well, Sarah, you said something about a memory disk or something, so the clerk and recorder.
Oh, it's
It's
just the
supposed
minutes.
to have it, that's it?
Just the
None of-
minutes. No. No, it only I send her the minutes every time after it's approved, and it goes on this disc.
And all this information could be gone. All this work and everything could be gone, and we won't know about it.
Could be gone.
Yeah, I mean, suppose you guys quit or you're gone and stuff, where is it, in a box?
Well, then
Well,
we have to make sure
right,
it
then we
gets
would
to
put it
Well,
on.
why isn't it done now? This is what I don't get. why isn't this somewhere in the county file, all this work we've been doing?
Is this under new business right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, the other thing is we got all that money, I think I put this up, I think the agenda should be put in the mail. We meet once a month, I don't think there's any problem, and we can use the budget.
And who's gonna put it in the mail?
So
once
you're
a
gonna
month?
have to first call him,
All you do
he
is you
gives
do
you
the agenda.
permission to
You
do
the
it,
agenda,
if he gives you permission to
and
do
then,
it.
so then that's another
Then
reason
you
why
go
we
to
shouldn't bother.
the mail has to bill the county then has to give it back to one of us, and then one of us has to send it in to Steve Kimball each month, or when we collect them, and then Steve Kimball has to refund the county. It's not just as simple as just saying, oh, we'll put it in the mail.
Well, why isn't we say that we wanna have the agenda put in every month, and we want this
Somebody's gotta do
approved?
it.
So,
Approved by Kimball and say, okay, you could do it every month, and
But
then
I've
that's
never
it.
seen the planning board's agenda in the paper.
Oh, yes, it is. Oh, it is.
I looked in the last paper. and
Oh,
never
it's in
saw
the
it.
paper. Yes, it is.
What's it look like when it's in the
is
paper?
that
It's
in
under
the,
legal.
is legal?
Oh,
Oh,
Legals.
maybe that's why.
And you have to
Okay.
pay for legals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only one, as far as I'm concerned, that does it right. And puts the
Would you
agenda
wanna
in
take
there.
it on
And it's
then?
one, why should I take it on? You do
Why
the
not?
agenda.
This is your
You
idea.
do
Right.
the agenda,
Because
you
you
do the
told me-
agenda, and you
you
send
told-
it in.
I had to do it.
Heidi's
That's why I
doing
did it.
enough for the group, my gosh, she's
Yes.
just-
I did the agenda because
yeah.
you, some reason, didn't want Margie to do it, and I had to do it, or something like that.
Alina, why do you want it in the paper?
I mean, I don't care.
Because maybe we'll get people here who are interested in it, do you think? Maybe, I don't know.
I got it put on the county website.
And I like to see a discussion about, the, James Tester bill. I think that's important, and we should do that.
Do you wanna do that under new business then, or?
No, put it on the agenda for next
I
month.
still wanna go with, natural resource, we gotta get that done.
Okay, since you don't like the times, how much time do you want to allot
That's
for
the other
that?
thing, we meet once a month. Okay, you even said that other group, that, Water, whatever the hell, Gallatin, meets once a month, and how long do they go? 4 hours?
Uh-huh.
I mean, if we've got this much to discuss, maybe we should have it more than an hour. If we only meet once a month.
I would go for more time, maybe
Well,
that's the
all
answer,
I'm
Alina.
saying, you know.
I would go for that.
You wanna go out to 4 o'clock?
We'll have
You know,
to
we
put
don't
that
have
as
to
a
always
discussion
do
on the
it, but if
agenda.
we're working on something, you know, we could push the clock a little bit, you know, it doesn't have to be.
Well, that would have to be on the agenda to be a
Yeah.
discussion.
The reason they have, for so long, they have a whole lot of people that have to talk. And that's what takes
So we
so
have a
long.
whole lot of things that we gotta
We
do.
do, and I would love nothing more than to do that, but,
An hour and a half is good by me, but if you guys.
You
wanna
like
go-
that?
Yeah,
yeah.
and I think Elena should coordinate with DNRC and paper to put the agendas in paper. You know, you're passionate
We
about
should
it.
have a treasurer, we should have a secretary. And, you know, diversify, you know, I don't think she should do everything. But a treasurer, if we're gonna work like a group, a treasurer, a secretary, and we should define, and I've said it a long time ago, what the jobs are. If you remember, I was supposed to be the secretary, and I said, well, what is the job of a secretary? And then the commissioners go and hire somebody else to get
Oh, that
paid.
wouldn't
Well,
be-
that's just.
That went on for months, and you never took it. I mean.
No, it was right in the
Oh.
beginning. I took the secretary, I said, fine, I'll be the secretary, and then all of a sudden, the commissioners go and hire,
You said you'd be secretary?
Yes, in the beginning, I said, yeah, I'd be the secretary.
Selena, that had nothing to do with
It's a
us.
good thing I do the recordings on this. Look back, okay, Chuck, look back. And I even brought it up, I didn't understand why all of a sudden somebody is there taking the minutes.
So what's the reason why you won't be secretary now? Because you're ticked? Is that what happened?
No, I want a job description of everything, and I think.
Oh, yeah, that job description. That's cool.
Well, and we don't, you know, this is what I mean. I mean, every council and everything, we don't follow the rules, we don't follow the laws, we just do everything like we want to do it.
Alina, what do you think the
Then
secretary?
you do something. You pick the job you want to do, and you
And make
inform
up a
these
job
people what
description
you're gonna
for
do.
it. And then,
What do you think the secretary should do? Like what?
Yeah, right, and
I think
didn't I
we
tell you to
went
write the job
to,
description when you were
MSU
doing that?
and did training, I believe.
I told you to write the job description, and we'd look at it. And you never did that.
You did?
Yeah.
Was it at a meeting that you told me? I don't think so.
Oh, go back and look.
I know we wanted
Well, I'll
a
have to find
correspondence
minutes.
secretary at one time.
Right, right. I just think Heidi is doing way more than her share.
Oh, I can't believe the
I mean,
minutes.
I don't think
Well,
it's
I
fair.
know.
No, it's
Yeah.
not fair
I do
at
know
all.
it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. But, you don't just say, okay, let's do this, let's do that, and change things midway without a discussion on it. I'm sorry, I mean, I like to go by the rules.
So the paper wouldn't put it in without payment, huh?
No, I don't.
No.
You know what, when I was state director, they let me put what we did in free. They didn't charge me. That was quite a while ago.
Yeah, I think everything costs money
Maybe it's
now.
changed. And if you do a letter to the editor now, it's only 400 words.
Both
Oh,
my
is that
favorite.
fine?
Yeah, they got me the other day. I said, please, I researched this.
I don't care, nobody's here, so that's it.
Yeah.
This is the way it's gonna be.
Well, why don't you check into it and tell us what
I
they're
already
gonna
did.
charge? Okay, how much will they charge?
I checked it with the planning board. You're on the planning board, aren't you? I
No,
checked
how
it
much
with
the
Linda.
newspaper will charge.
That's
She
what
never
I'm
said a-
talking about.
She never said a
She
word
doesn't
about it.
know. She says it goes automatically to the clerk and recorder. I'm sorry.
No, I meant talk to the newspaper.
I'm not gonna say
The
that.
clerk and recorder,
But this is a grant, so the line is a little different.
yeah.
Oh, this is government.
Line items.
It's hard.
But they probably wouldn't, I would think they'd want us to put it in the paper, because then it's gonna bring in more people.
Does the planning board have a hired secretary?
No.
Okay.
Linda does the
Okay.
minutes, I think, she has a recorder, and she does the minutes.
And she does the agenda. But then she gets paid.
Yeah, she gets paid.
A lot of money, doesn't
Do
she?
you think people
About
would,
$76,000 a year.
do you think people would really want to come to our
Oh, I
meeting?
see.
Do you?
I don't know.
I don't think they would.
I'm on 6 boards and nobody ever comes.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of hoop-de-doo for nothing myself.
Right.
Did you put it up at the,
I have been, I'm sorry, I forgot the last time, but thank you for giving it out. Because I will, previously I put it up.
okay.
That's the same reason nobody goes to the county commissioners meeting.
Well,
Unless they, hey, you gotta show up. That's how, special invite.
What was the one where everybody showed up last week? What was that?
It was the caucuses.
the
The
caucus.
caucus, yeah, for the dump's not gonna take the
Oh, the
caucuses.
carcasses, yeah.
Oh, boy, I had such a good plan for that. I told the Chuck.
We got the best plan.
Oh, good.
Somebody, after the meeting, they were out in the lobby there or whatever, and everybody was talking, and somebody came up with the idea of why not putting the cow composter at the prison.
At the
At
prison?
the prison, and that's just a perfect idea.
Wow.
They got all equipment, they got all the manpower,
Oh, yeah.
and they got all the land where they can go out and do it, so
Yeah,
Jamie Jonko,
that's a good idea.
he's a grizzly bear guy at the state, and he's gonna coordinate, and I saw some correspondence on that, and a lot of people are jumping in on this. And I don't know who thought of it, but it was a great idea.
That is. What will they charge us? And my plan was
Probably just-
different. In Winston, Oregon, they had to figure out what to do with all the roadkill and all that. So they made a safari. They brought lions in and all kinds of wild animals, and people pay big bucks to go out there to see these animals eating all the roadkill. I thought, boy, if they could do a really neat deal here with grizzly bears and wolves.
My idea is kind of on your vein. I would take a helicopter and I'd take those carcasses back to
Oh, I-
the wilderness
yeah.
area, clear the hell out of the way and let the
Yeah.
bears stay back there.
Why wouldn't that be a good idea?
Some of those, that work for roadkill, but with dead cattle, you might have disease and stuff.
You can't operate a helicopter in this area.
Well, you could over the top. This is just wishful thinking.
But it'd be a good
That
way.
is a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I motion that we adjourn.
Well, did we get what we're?
Public comment, we haven't had that yet.
And we haven't talked about what's gonna be on the agenda. I got some of it, but I just
Yeah.
wanna make sure I get it all.
Okay.
Um,
Any public comments? Scott?
I've said my piece.
You said your piece. Okay, should we vote on what we should have on the agenda? Because Alina wants to talk about should we take a break from this and talk about the water compact next week? I love talking about it myself, but, or should we stick with natural resource? I'll leave that to you guys.
Well, maybe they should have 20 minutes for the compact.
Should we do that?
Well, yeah, I think it should be on. the
All right,
agenda.
let's put 20 minutes, and then we'll get back to the,
Jump back
And
on.
then the compare, and then you want
Yeah.
a discussion on our times, if we should take it further out. And, I was thinking further down the road, maybe we could go over our bylaws.
Oh,
look
yeah,
to
like way
see-
down the road,
Yeah.
to see terms and that sort of thing.
Look to see what is a secretary, maybe we could add some things in our bylaws. Secretary
Right.
does,
Yeah.
treasurer does, president does, whatever.
Mhm.
Maybe we could do something like that down the road.
Right.
Come to think of it, you got some people whose terms are gonna expire here pretty soon.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 years, was it 2 years?
I forget who it is, but
And
at least one person's gonna be out.
Who's that?
I don't know.
In what?
Somebody's term is going to expire here shortly.
And I don't know where that's at, do you?
They're supposed to be on the, that's on the Granite County website.
I don't think it was said in Granite, though, that 2 years you had to
No
go.
pun intended.
Yeah.
Well, there's no reason why they couldn't.
No, and I think we need to,
Stay on.
You could just
we're on a roll
apply.
here with some really important stuff, and it'd be terrible to bring new people in,
Yeah,
and
you
start
just
all
have
over.
to reapply.
Right.
If nobody wants it,
I
that's
think
all
it's
right.
Bill's, he's already tried to resign at least.
Yeah, I think it was Bill.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
other quick thing, do we want the budget on here every time? I mean, if we're not spending any money,
I think it should be
Should be, okay.
just a quick financial, just a treasurer's report.
okay,
Just so we always know.
all right, I'll make sure it's on there, okay.
And we don't worry about the grant right now, we got rid of that. So, on the agenda then, 20 minutes, we'll talk about the water compact, and then we'll get back to the Granite County, River Valley County natural resource policy.
Okay, so I'll put those three things
All
on
right.
there. Or agenda, compare, discussion on times, and then the other stuff.
All right. Well, shall we ready to end? Anything else? Someone make a motion to close?
I will be adjourned.
Second.
Okay, we're adjourned. What do you think of those water, I didn't know anything about those water basins. They had one in 210, but this is 215. I don't know if that's the latest one or what.
Do you think, like, all this stuff that we discussed on changes and stuff, do you want that all documented in the minutes?
No, don't worry about that, because it hasn't been documented yet. That's just
So
research.
maybe the minutes won't be.
The time is
Yeah.
4:45.
Yeah, you could just say that.
This is the
maybe
courtroom.
changes. They're not even set
Courtroom,
in Granite.
Granite County. The clock hasn't even been set right.
Discuss
Yeah.
So different.